Hello and welcome to Forever F1, and very interesting news this week with talks that Nigeria are set to enter the race to try and get Formula One to Africa. At the moment, South Africa leading with two bids to try and get the race back on the continent. Rwanda has expressed, a desire as well previously, but all of a sudden we're seeing Opus Race Promotions trying to open talks with the FIA and Formula One with permission from the Nigerian government to basically look at the feasibility of a potential race in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so very interesting news. And I'll tell you what, as a South African, I'll be absolutely heartbroken if this were to happen. But we're not really upping the ante, are we? We've got two bids on the table, and there's currently a very big sort of competition. Bid number one is to go down to Cape Town, a potential street circuit. I was actually in Cape Town recently where we kind of mapped it out. Doesn't really do it for me, if I'm brutally honest. Opportunities for, fans alongside, certain parts of the tracks, but it is another street circuit. And having looked at the circuit, having driven the circuit, I don't think we'd be able to create an amazing spectacle. Obviously, Cape Town as a tourist destination would be an amazing week, and it would make sense. People can fly directly into Cape Town or via Johannesburg. It's very accessible. There's plenty of flights, lots of very high-end accommodation. It would be absolutely extortionate. But it would sort of suit the whole sort of narrative. You could fly in, you could do sort of the safari. You could see people flying in early on, like the Monday, for example, and spending a couple of days. You could go to the Eastern Cape and do sort of Shamwari, Addo, those sort of parks, or you can go earlier and spend a day in the Kruger before actually flying down to the circuit itself. The other bit is to bring you back to Kyalami, where we've had Formula Ones before, and lots of money being invested into Kyalami since it was bought by Porsche a few years ago. It's part of a sort of conglomeration, and they've been doing a lot of investment into it to try and get it back to Formula One standards. This is a racetrack, and it's a pretty good layout as well. And this is, for me, the preferred bid from a second perspective, because I think we'll be able to create the best race. But we've kind of been dragging our feet. Gaten McKenzie, the South African Minister of Sport and Recreation, has been pushing, has been having meetings himself with the FIA, with Formula One, and try and sort of work out what needs to happen for the Formula One to basically come back to South Africa. Now, the problem is at the moment, it's a funding issue, and trying to decide what the funding is going to issue, and is the government going to back a multi-million rand project to bring Formula One back to the country. While they sort of wait, we also, by the way, saw bids by Rwanda, also sort of making an interest a few years ago, and they've addressed the FIA, and they've kind of been involved in that process, but don't really seem to be pushing it at the moment. And whilst they all wait, Nigeria's decided to get involved. Now, Nigeria was sort of put on the map a little bit by this man over here, Ovi Ororo, who was the first Nigerian to race in that sort of Ford Championship. I think it was Formula Renault as well, but first race to sort of race in the single seat car circuits, in the international circuits, and it was quite a historic moment. Now, this is almost about 10 years ago where he actually made his debut, and from that, interest in racing and motorsport racing in Nigeria has been picking up pretty consistently within the country itself. And the National Sports Commission has given permission to a company called Opus Race Promotions to basically start the process, to start talking to the FIA, start having these conversations. And it's actually, the company itself is actually being backed by two former Nigerian footballers, which includes ex-Premier League footballer Marvin Sodal, as well as Ochechi, one of the other Nigerian footballers who's part of the company itself. Now, they've put together basically a bid, and they've got permission from the Nigerian government, from the National Sports Commission, to take this forward. The destination, Abuja, the Nigerian capital. It'll be a brand new circuit if it is to go ahead. And I think that itself might be quite a game changer for the FIA. The fact that they're going to basically just be building a circuit from the ground up to specification. Now, the FIA chief executive Stefano Dominicelli, who has basically been pushing for the race in Africa, has been invited to Abuja itself to go and do a bit of a site visit, kind of look at where they might have the race itself, what some of the ideas are, because it's not just going to be a track. It's said to be a track with go-karting sort of set up, a whole bunch of hotels, and basically a bit of a whole new development around where this iconic event might take place. And Sehu Dikko, who's the chairman of the National Sports Commission in Nigeria, said the following. He said, "We are exploring all possibilities to bring Formula One to Nigeria as soon as practicable." He said, not just as a sporting event, but as a catalytic driver of tourism, infrastructure development, youth engagement, economy, and indeed soft power for Nigeria. The vision aligns with renewed hope and shared prosperity vision of our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So a big, very serious bid. It's not just sort of them saying, oh, maybe we'll look at it. No, they are being quite serious about it. And they've got the money. Nigeria has got a lot of money they're willing to sort of invest into events like this. Now, Lewis Hamilton's been the big speaker, really, for bringing it back to Africa. Last year, he said no one gives anything to Africa, and speaks about the fact that we keep adding races to other locations and continue to ignore Africa. For example, Spain next year, getting a second race with the addition of Madrid alongside Barcelona. We've got America getting like 3 Grand Prix now. You've got so many different countries getting several, Grand Prix. We're having them, and Miami being extended to 2031. We still don't have a race on this continent, and there's a huge following. I think it should come to South Africa in terms of the history of having a Kyalami. We've got probably a bit more proud racing history within South Africa compared to, the rest of the world. We've got the Van der Linde brothers, for example, who I actually know, and they're on the international circuit doing Le Mans and all this sort of thing. So we've got quite a proud motorsports heritage. And, it's just we're waiting for it to bring back. We know that you'd sell out that Formula One. It'll be very expensive, but you're going to be able to put 100,000 people a day basically into Kyalami. You probably will see, excess of 350,000 people over the course of the weekend if you bring it back to Kyalami. But you know what? There's an opportunity in Nigeria, and there's nothing to say that down the line we might not have both. And that would be phenomenal. Imagine having 2 races on the continent, So at the moment, it's the race for the first. It's the race for the first race. After that, long-term future, it would be really cool to see 2 races on the continent. One in South Africa, one in Nigeria, North Africa, South Africa. And it would be really cool if that would come off. Which would you prefer as your sort of primary destination? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.